Hi writers, you are editing today, and this is very exciting news for you. Usually when we think about editing, we think about checking spelling and checking punctuation. Yes, that is absolutely what we do when we're in the editing stage of the writing process. But today, I want to teach you about a grammar move. It's kind of a grammar lesson that you're gonna probably see that you use some of these types of words in your informational writing. So what we're going to talk about today are comparatives and superlatives. Now, these are words that compare two or more things. And I'm sure you've seen these before. If you think of the word like big, big is the base word, right? And then the comparative of big is bigger. We add on a suffix and it becomes a comparative. Then the superlative is biggest. So we add on the est suffix and that makes it the biggest, right? Big, bigger, and biggest. Those are forms of the word big. Bigger is the comparative. That's comparing two things. And biggest is the superlative. That's when we compare three or more things. Okay, so in your editing mini lesson for today, I'm going to show you how to go through some text and make sure, have a check and see, am I using this grammar, am I following the grammar rules correctly? Okay, and in order to do that, we're going to take a look at a few pages from our Polar Bears text by Laura Marsh. And I've identified some places where she uses comparatives and superlatives, but I've covered them up. And we're going to try to guess which is it a comparative or a superlative? Is it an ER or an EST? All right, so let's have a look. Here we have this first page, big bears. Have you seen a polar bear in the zoo? Polar bears are big, really big. They are the blank meat eaters on land. A polar bear can weigh as much as 7 men. Okay, the base word of the word that's covered up is big. They are something big. Meat eaters on land. So is it bigger or biggest? What would be the correct grammar usage in this sentence? Are they comparing two things? Because in that case, you use bigger. Or is it three or more things? Is it like comparing tons of things? Let's think. They are the blank meat eaters on land. So Laura Marsh, the author, is saying that these ones, compared to all the animals on land, all the meat eaters on land, this one is the biggest, right? So if we move this here, oops, I can't do it in present mode. Let me pull this. So I can pull that off now. And we see there it is. They are the biggest meat eaters on land. So EST is when we're doing three or more things, and we use EST because it's the biggest meat eaters on land. All right, let's see the next one. Here it is. I'm going to zoom in, actually. Okay. Big paws keep bears from sinking into the snow. The paws are blank, then a dinner plate. Okay. The base word that's covered up is large. So it might be larger or it might be largest. Largest. Okay. So we need to think, are they comparing two things? Or are they comparing three or more things? In this sentence, the author is comparing the paws, the size of the paws, to a dinner plate, right? So it's comparing two things. So it's larger, right? That's a comparative. It uses the ER to compare two things. Did you get that one right? Okay, on this page we have three things covered up. So let's read it. In Churchill, Canada, polar bears come to town in the fall. The ice is melting blank each year. It is forming blank too. The bears are hungry. They are looking for food. The earth is getting blank. There is less sea ice now. This is dangerous for polar bears. They need the ice to hunt. Okay, so let's take this sentence by sentence. The ice is melting blank each year. So it is early is the base word that's covered up. So is it earlier or earliest? Well, we need to think, what are they comparing, right? The ice is melting blank each year. So they're saying this year compared to last year. So it's comparing two things, 2 years. So it would be a ER, right? So the ice is melting earlier each year. It is forming blank 2. So this base word under there is late. So is it later or latest? Well, again, we're comparing 2 years, right? This year from last year. So it is forming later, right? Because it's 2 years we're comparing, not all the years of history. So it's later. Okay, the last one, our Earth is getting blank. There's less sea ice now. So the base word that's covered up there is warm. So is it warmer or warmest? Our Earth is getting, it's a tricky one. What are they comparing the Earth to? They're comparing the Earth's temperature now to how it was in the past. So it's comparing two things, right? So the Earth is getting warmer, right? ER is a comparative. Okay, last one. I know that the picture isn't very good quality, but here it is. This is from the page 7, Amazing Polar Bear Facts. The blank polar bear ever recorded was 2,209 pounds. That's the weight of a small sports car. Whoa. So the base word under there is large, okay? So we're trying to figure out, is it larger or largest? Well, in order to do that, we need to figure out, what are they comparing? Is it just two things or is it more? So if the sentence was saying, comparing two polar bear weights, it would be ER, right? This one's larger than this one. But in this sentence, it's saying the blank polar bear ever recorded. So of all the polar bears in the whole entire world, this one was the largest, right? So we use the superlative form because we're comparing all the polar bears that have ever existed. And this one that was 2,209 pounds was the largest. So what does this mean for you and your editing? Well, today, one strategy you might try is taking your draft, your revised draft, and kind of checking, where do you see some places where you're using ER or EST? And then stop, pause, and say, am I using that correctly? Am I comparing two things? So does it make sense that I am using an ER here? Or should it be an EST, right? Proper grammar usage is really important, and comparatives and superlatives is something we use a ton in informational writing. That's because we're constantly, telling about sizes or comparing different animals or talking about how hikes are different, right? So one thing that I can find, I would just say there are many different types of hikes that suit different types of hikers. Easy hikes are typically a flat trail in a short distance. You shouldn't expect to get out of breath on these types of trails. You'll likely see families walking along and seeing enjoying their day. You can expect to have the trail go up and down. However, it'll be a mix. Harder hikes will be challenging. Harder. Am I using that correctly? Should it be hardest? Well, let's think. What am I comparing? Hard hikes will be challenging. Okay, so harder hikes will be challenging. And it's comparing one, like the harder hike, a hard hike, with an easier hike. So it's really comparing two types of hikes, and I used harder correctly. Okay, so in your independent drafting, in your independent work today, go back through in your editing, check those comparatives and superlatives, and just make sure you're using that grammar in the proper way. As always, let me know if you have any questions. I am more than happy to help. Happy writing. I'll see you soon.